doing this live demonstration of Collavate. So if you guys have any questions, I did put everybody on mute, but feel free to go ahead and type in the chat box if anybody does have any questions, or you can feel free to save it to the end, and I could unmute everybody, and we can go from there. So basically, what I'll be showing today is the Collavate as a whole. And how everything works, and how it's integrated into Google Drive and Google Docs. So let me go ahead and start out by going to collavate.com. So we'll go ahead and log in. All right, so once you do go to collavate.com, you will see the login on the top right of the screen. You go ahead and click login. It will log into the Gmail account that you are signed in with currently, if you are signed in with Gmail. And then it'll take you to the homepage of Collavate. Now, the homepage does show all of your documents that are in your Google Drive. It will also show a little breakdown of the tags that you do have currently, or as well as your Google Drive, whether it be the documents or the different groups and folders you have on your Google Drive. Now with Collavate, when creating a new idea for work, working individually is only 38%. Whereas working together with collaboration comes in at a whopping 62%. So working with collaboration with businesses and enterprise is definitely a big percentage of collaboration. All right. All right. So first, I'm going to go ahead and be talking about a little bit of some of the features that that Collavate does offer, and then we're going to go ahead and go through all of the new information and features that Collavate offers. I did send out an email earlier in the week, I believe it was on Monday, about Collavate now offering Google add-on support as well as mobile support for Collavate. So now it is offered with Google add-ons and mobile devices. All right. So first, I'm going to go over document classification. Now, document classification is a fancy word for tags. So basically, what I did here was I created just a quick test document. So we'll go ahead and click on the document, and you'll see that you can either add document classification or tags from the actual document once you click on it, or you can see the little edit button, the pencil button. You can click on that, and that'll bring you to the actual document within Collavate. Now, it does look very similar to Google Docs, and that's because it does use the Google Docs APIs, which means that you get the full Google Docs feel, but you also get the added features of Collavate within it. So you'll see that I just created a quick test document, and you're able to add tags right from the right side of the document. So I'm going to add a tag, and once that tag is saved, it saves automatically to the document. So it basically assesses itself with the document. So if I were to go into back home and search up for that certain tag, that document would show up. Not only does the document show up in Collavate, but it also shows up in Google Docs as well. So we'll go ahead and go back to the document. Now, editing the document is, the same as Google Docs. We can go ahead And from there, it automatically saves in real time. So there's no having to stop what you're doing and save the document. It automatically saves, like I said, as you are creating the document as a whole. And that basically is the document classification. You're able to add tags to certain documents to make them easier to find, as well as be able to classify documents, whether it be for personal or business use, to make finding things a little bit easier. Does anybody have questions about document classification? You can go ahead and type it into the chat box. All right, it doesn't look like anybody has any questions. I just wanted to make sure everybody heard me fine. Did everybody hear me okay with that? Okay, perfect. Just wanted to make sure I wasn't talking for nothing. All right. So next, I'm going to go over the workflow process. So basically, what the workflow process is you're able to start basically an approval process where you can design a workflow with sequential and or parallel approval processes. You're able to change the document ownership to a designated document manager. You're able to track and archive domain activities as well as workflow histories, and process documents are archived to a document manager's drive while preventing others from editing. So basically, to put that in a much easier way to understand, I'm just going to go ahead and start from this document and start an approval process. All right, so as you see, when I clicked on the left-hand side on the Processes tab, you'll see that I have a bunch of documents that that show up. All of these documents are the documents that either I have processed or that I was sent to either approve it, edit it, or reject it, basically for approval. So you'll see the document name and what the document entails, as well as the status of the document, whether it's approved, still in review, waiting for others to approve it, or whether it's still a draft, whether it hasn't been sent out yet. You'll see the reporter. The reporter is basically who is the document owner, so basically who started that process and sent it out, when it was last modified, and who approved it. So you'll see here we have two different approvers. Here we have one. So basically puts all of that in an archive for you. Now in the sub information platform here, you'll see that I have 49 to review and 87 in progress. So basically it breaks it down further. They would have to be, Jason has a question, do they have to be a part of the same domain or just have a Gmail account? Basically, they would have to have that Gmail account. So whoever you send it to, I believe they would have to be a part of your domain as well, to go ahead and be able to approve that. So basically, they would have those permissions as a part of your domain to go ahead and be able to approve it, to edit it, or to reject it. Does that make sense, Jason? Okay, perfect. All right, so like I was saying, you can either you can go break it down further. So to be reviewed. All right, so all of these are to be reviewed. So you'll see it. You'll be able to see all of them that you have to review, comment, approve, as well as how many have been processed or rejected. So I'll go ahead and go back to my test document, and you'll see right from the little example page, you'll be able to process the document on the actual example, or you'll be able to go ahead and click edit and start the process from the actual document. So go ahead and click document, or I'm sorry, well, I'll go ahead and click start process. From here, it only shows that I have one file. You can add other files to this process. So this way you'll have multiple files to be processed all at once, or you could just leave it as one document to be processed. In the process link or in the process list, you'll be able to select a member from either lists you have, your favorites, your contacts, or Google Apps. So I'm just going to leave this as is. You can either do it single. You can put each user in as itself, or you can do a group CC or a regular CC. I'm going to go ahead and leave it as a regular approval, and I'll go ahead and type in a name. So once you type in the name and add the first user to send this document to, it shows up with two different permissions. You can add the user be able to view and comment on this document, or you can go ahead and have them edit it and comment as well. So you can change their permissions up, as well as on the bottom, you'll see keep members permission after process. So the actual permissions that you do give that user will go ahead and stay for the next document that you do send them. So for Harry, I'm going to go ahead and put this as edit and comment. And you'll see once I click the add sign, it'll bring up a number 2, as well as bring somebody underneath Harry. Basically what this is like I was talking about the sequential order for the approval process. So if I were to put somebody under Harry, so let's go ahead and add somebody here. I'll have them be able to edit and comment as well. Basically, before number 2 can approve the document, number 1 and each user under number 1 would have to approve the document before number 2 would be able to have that permission to approve it. Number 2 can see the document, they can look at it, but they won't be able to approve it until the first number and each user under the first number goes ahead and approves it. So I'm going to add one more. All right, so I'm going to add myself under that process. So basically, I'm going to go ahead and go in my email and grab that so I can show you kind of how the approval process works as well. So we'll X out number 2 here. You can leave a custom message. So on the bottom, you can also make a copy of this document to process, which basically means a copy of this document will be sent to process to those individuals that you sent it to, and the original of the document will stay in your document folder just in case you needed to add stuff to it and reprocess the document. The keep members permission I went over, and you can also add these users to your favorites list for easier access next time you want to go ahead and process it. You can also save this process as a draft, so it'll also save the content as well as who you've added to the process list, or you can go ahead and process it. So right now, I'm going to go ahead and process this. Great. So I went ahead and processed that. Now I'm going to jump over to my email on my screen. All right. All right, so you see here, I just got the email. Let me go ahead and all right. Let me go ahead and log into the right email address. All right, here we go. Let me go ahead and make this a little bigger. All right, perfect. So I got an email that says James Lee has collated the document name, which is Collavate add-ons test, with me. So basically in the email, it shows the title of the document, what type of document it is, the status of the document, whether it's still in review, approved, etc. Who was the document owner who created this, and any comments that the document owners left. You can also edit or review by the links below, or automatically approve or reject this process. So since we don't really know what the process is yet, we can go ahead and click the Colavate URL, which will bring you to colavate.com, and it'll bring you to the document in Colavate, or a Google Drive URL. So let's go ahead and click the Google Drive URL. So you'll see that it brings up a Google Drive document with the document and all of its permissions. So I was able to I set my permissions as being able to edit the document. So I'm gonna edit the document, and then I'm going to exit out of it. Now I'm going to go to the Colavate URL so you can see how it looks in Colavate. Just takes a couple minutes here. Perfect. So once it's loading, you'll see that it shows all of the people that it sent for approval, as well as being able for this document to be approved by me or disagree about the document. Or we can go ahead and edit it further. So I'm going to go ahead and click edit. Perfect. And you'll see my edit was just right there that I edited from the Google Docs link URL. So as from here, you can still go ahead and edit it, as well as comment on it, do certain edits you need. It'll also show who has approved it, or who it's waiting for an approval for. So let's say this document's great. I want to go ahead and approve it. So I'm going to go ahead and say this document is great. Good job. And I'll go ahead and approve it. So it says my agreement has been saved. So basically it says that I have agreed on the date. It'll also show an image. So I'm going to go ahead and have my colleague Amanda go ahead and approve it as well. This way you can see how the autographs work. So basically, once you approve a document, in your profile rather, before you go ahead and when you set up your Collavate account, you'll have the option to add your own personal signature. Now this signature will be applied when you approve documents. So it's just like a real life situation. So you'd be able to approve a document and have your signature on it. So I'm going to go ahead and get my colleague Amanda. And while we're waiting on her, you'll see that mine has no image, and that's because I don't have a signature. So I'm going to go ahead and reload this. Perfect. So Amanda has agreed to this document as well. And you'll see, I'll go ahead and zoom in a little bit more, that that her signature, very nice signature, is added to the document as well. So I'll go ahead and zoom out. All right. So does anybody have any questions about the processing, anything, how to process, any other information about processes? Go ahead and feel free to type in the comments. All right, so it seems that nobody has a question. That's all right. If you have a question, please feel free. You can interrupt me. You can go ahead and type it in the chat, and I'll go ahead and get to that question. All right, so we'll go ahead and go back to the main document page. All right. Now another thing that I did forget to mention about the document process, I'll go ahead and create I'll create another document just to test it out. All right, so we'll go back. Click on the document. And this is how the process tab looks from the preview of the document without going into the full document page. So it's the same feel. You'll be able to add different people, add sequential order to the approval process, et cetera, et cetera. But on the bottom, you'll see published contents and members as my template. Basically, what this means is that all of the information in the document, as well as who you've added to the process, if you do click this, it will add to a template. So basically, if you were to need the same document and the same people needed to go ahead and go to another document, or I'm sorry, go to another process, you'll be able to go to your templates, and it'll save that template of all the document information as well as who you've sent it to. So I'll go ahead and publish the template. And once it's done saving, I'll go ahead and go to my templates. Perfect. All right, so now that it's saved as a template, I will go ahead and go back to process and my templates. And it'll show that the template I just generated for my process, as well as who I've added to that process as well. So we'll go ahead and wait for this to load. All right, so you'll see that with the template, it shows the information that I put into the document, as well as who I've added and their permissions as well. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and go back to my test document. I'll go ahead and go home. Give me just a moment here. All right. So next, I'm going to go ahead and be going over document ownership control and basically remote drive user mode. What remote drive user mode entails is basically when an outside collaborator creates a document with a personal account, whether it be a Gmail or another account. The ownership of that document goes to a document manager in the company's domain. So basically, what that means is if I were to go ahead and create a document, I could transfer that document's ownership to the person that I want to own the document. You can also tag the file with share tags as well as join in any workflow process. So basically, with the Business and Enterprise Edition, we can go ahead and go to the Admin Control Panel. Now, within the Admin Control Panel, you'll see that it shows the calendar for your Google Drive. So basically, that's how Google Apps does go ahead and integrate. You'll see at the top here, it'll show the Google Apps as well as Gmail, Calendar, and you can go ahead and click those, and it'll bring you to the actual domain. Whether it's your calendar, your mail, etc. It'll also show you the version of your Collavate license, the expiration, as well as how many user licenses you have activated, and total licenses, as well as how many remote drive user licenses out of however remote drive licenses you have. So within the little sub setting, you can go to remote drive. So go ahead and wait for this to load. All right, so with the remote drive, you're able to basically give that document and the functionality to the people on your remote drive. So you can allow them to create documents and files, show domain share tags, set security level, create processes, as well as show shared templates. Now I'll go ahead and go to user management. Basically what user management is basically it shows all of the users under your account, as well as their username, user ID, what their real name, if they're an admin. So basically if they're not an admin, they won't have this little admin control panel, which I just showed you. So they won't have any of the permissions that the admin does have. If they're active, and what security level they are. I haven't gone over the security level just yet, but I will go ahead and go over that shortly. So here is where you can change all of that information as well as the document ownership control. So go ahead and go back to the home page. Now with set security levels, for some reason it is not showing up on this account that I am logged in under. But I'll go over a little bit of what the document security is. Basically, what the document security is, it's a 5-tier security control where level 5 is the lowest and level 1 is the highest. Let me go ahead and just try to log out and log back in. Hopefully that'll show it up here. There we go. Perfect. Okay, so you'll see that my set security level did show up now. It just had to log out and log in. So basically with that, you're able to assign document access labels from level 1, like I said, is the highest, to level 5, which is the lowest. No access to any document which has higher security level than the security level of the user. Basically saying if I have a level 2 security, I am able to see level 5, level 4, level 3, and level 2 security documents, but I'm not able to see level 1 security documents. Basically saying anything under the number you're able to see. So if I'm a level 4, I can see level 4 and 5 documents. You're also able to search documents by the parallel security level without permission in Google Drive, as well as documents with any security level cannot be edited, downloaded, or printed, and that's for the user's safety. So what I'll go ahead and do is I'll check mark this document that I've created, and I'll set a security level. I'm going to go ahead and set it as a security level of 3. All right. So now that I click on the document, you'll see that it does have the security level of level 3. There's not much I can show you from my end, but basically what it is if I were to send this document out to be processed, it correlates with I'll go back to the admin panel. It correlates with the users. So let's say you have 5 users like I do. All of these except for Keith Hill will be able to see that document, and that's because Keith Hill has a security level of 5, which is too low to see the security level 3 document. So basically, you can set the security level of each individual on your license, as well as the document itself. Does anybody have any questions about the security levels? Okay. All right, great. So it doesn't seem like anybody has any questions. So now we'll go ahead and kind of go into the newer features of Colavate. So basically, within the last week, we rolled out a few new updates. So I'll go ahead and switch over to Google Docs. Let's go ahead and go back. I'll create a new document just for testing purposes. So I'm in Google Docs. I'm not in Collavate. I'm in the actual Google app itself. So let's create this document. Add some information. All right, so basically what we've done is we've added Collavate to the add-on store within Google Docs, which means that you can use Collavate's process and workflow process right within Google Docs. So go ahead and go to add-ons. I already have Collavate installed, but what you would do is go to Get Add-ons. It'll load up the add-ons page, and you can search for Collavate. Once you do, you'll see Collavate, and you'll be able to click Add. Now, once that's added, we can start the workflow process right from here. So I can go ahead and Collavate and click Start. Now, what this will do is bring up a very familiar screen that I showed you previously from Collavate, and this is the process screen. So from here, you're able to add tags to the document. You can also select reviewers, so you can select it from your favorites or your organization chart, or you can add them manually. And this basically works the same way. You'll be able to add them manually as well as do a sequential order. You'll be able to add their permissions, maintain the initial access privileges of the reviewers, which is basically their permissions, as well as submit it for approval. So that's Collavate for Google add-ons, which is really great. Which is really great for people who who don't want to go to the Collavate site necessarily if they don't want to get into a new document or go ahead and leave their Google document from Google Docs. Does anybody have any questions about add-ons for Google Docs? If anybody has any questions, feel free to type it in the chat box. I'm going to go ahead and set up the next feature. All right, so while I get this next feature set up, oh, Shirley has a question. The difference between add-ons and share button. So basically, the share button within Google Drive we'll go ahead and file share. With the share button, you're basically giving them, sending them the documents, but it doesn't bring the approval process to Google Docs. So basically, sharing is sharing. It's basically, if I wanted to share a document with you, Shirley, I would go ahead and be able to add your name to this document, and you'd be able to share and edit, and whether the permissions I give, as well as be able to you get very limited access with sharing. With Collavate's approval process, with the add-ons, it's basically the same thing with approval process as Collavate from the website, but it's in Google Docs. So you'll be able to send this document, instead of just sharing it, you'll be able to send it out for approval, and basically approval. Does that make sense, Shirley? Does that answer your question? Okay, great. Perfect. All right. So let me go ahead and get this set up. The next thing that we brought is Colavate. We brought the full feel of Colavate to mobile. Now that was a big move for us, because um, a very big percentage of the business and even personal have smartphones. Smartphones is the new wave. So making things easier with Colavate, we brought it to the mobile device. Now I'll go ahead and set this up so you can see my screen. All right, give me just a minute. I do apologize for the wait. It just takes a couple of minutes for my phone to go ahead and load up. All right, there we go. I'll go ahead and move this to this screen. All right, can everybody see the iPhone on the screen? Perfect. All right, so basically, I just visited Collavate.com. This is the main browser page of Collavate. So it'll show all of the information. Number 3, top installed app. Number 1, a document managed category. Now, to make things a lot easier, before logging in, I could go ahead and have this Collavate webpage add to my add as a bookmark, or we can add it to the home screen. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is add this to the home screen. You could rename it, so we can just name it Collavate. Oops. All right, so what I'm going to go ahead and do before we do that, I'm just going to go ahead and log in. So this way, once you log in, it will show your document information once you add it to the home page. So you'll see that I'm logged in. All of my documents are here. Now I'm going to go ahead and add it to the home page. And this adds right to the home page. So go ahead and you'll click it. It'll ask you to log in with your Google account. If you do have two-step verification enabled with your Google Drive account, it will ask for the first time for you to input this verification code in. But since we already have it, I'm just going to go ahead and put it with my information here. So you'll see it's basically the full feel of Colavate. So we have all of my documents here. You'll see that the green ones are the ones that have been approved within the process. We'll go ahead and click the process link. It says that I do have one to be reviewed. And you can also see my received that are in process, my received that have been processed, that I've approved or rejected, how many I've sent that have been submitted, and how many have been processed. So I guess we'll go ahead and go to the one. We'll go ahead and go to the one that says need to be reviewed. All right, so you'll see here that we can actually approve it from the mobile device here. So it shows the document name. You would have to go to the Google Drive application to look at the actual document itself. That's because we're still working out all of the functionality of Collavate for the mobile device. But for now, you are able to approve and reject processes. So I went ahead and approved it, and it says that my approval has been saved. You can also create documents. So we'll go ahead and create a document. Now there's the document I did just create. It would, like I said, have to be opened up in the Google Drive application. And that's just because we're still working with full functionality. But as far as workflow process goes, you are still able to go ahead and approve and reject processes that do come within the mobile device. Does anybody have any questions regarding the Collavate for mobile? Okay, perfect. All right, so it doesn't look like anybody has any questions regarding so give me just a moment here. What I'll actually do, I'll go ahead and add this link in as well if you guys do want to check it out. It does go over the Collavate for the mobile web edition. So it basically shows how to add it to the home screen, how to create a document, as well as the approval process. All right, so we'll go ahead and go back to the Collavate homepage. I think the only thing that I really did skip over was the upload upload panel here. Basically what that is, you can upload a document from your Google Drive. You can upload it clicked right here. You can go ahead and press upload. It'll bring you to the information here, or you can drag and drop. So what I'm going to go ahead and do, I'm just going to drag and drop an item, just a picture. All right. Now once that's finished, you can go back to your home page and it's added to your documents just like that. Not only is it added to Collavate, but it's also added to Google Docs as well. So you see I just added a picture, and then we can go ahead and add tags, process, etc. And I really think that's it. We do have full 24-hour support if you do purchase, as well as even if you have a single user or a 14-day trial. As of now, we do offer support for any issues or questions you do have, and that's located right down here. All right. Now, if anybody does have any questions, feel free to write in the chat, and I can go ahead and unmute you, and you can go ahead and ask a question. Okay. So Raymond says, can you upload and view any type of file onto Collavate? Um, the short answer is yes. Basically, any file format that you can upload to just regular old Google Docs, Google Drive, you will be able to go ahead and upload to Collavate as well. No problem, Raymond. I'll go ahead and move this here as well, just so other people can see the questions as well. Does anybody else have any questions for me? Whether it's about the Collavate homepage, Google Docs add-ons for Collavate, or the mobile Collavate? Surely. I do have a recording of this webinar, so I can go ahead and we will post that on YouTube. I can also send you a file of the archive video as well. No problem. Does anybody else have any questions? One thing that I didn't go over, not sure, how many people are using this for business, for enterprise, or for single support, but I will leave the link for the Collavate pricing, as well as the list of information that it does come with. Andre says, Collavate support only English or other languages? Basically with Collavate, it does support, let me double check. Okay. So currently, it does support English, Korean, and Japanese. But hopefully in the future, we will be able to provide more languages. What specific language were you looking for, Andres? Spanish. Okay, I can definitely go ahead and hook up with my team and let them know, and we can definitely see what we can do about that. All right, so on the screen you'll see that I just brought up the pricing. I'm going to go ahead and copy that and paste it into the chat as well. All right, Raymond has a question. What would you need to do if you accidentally approved the document, or if you have approved it and wanted to make changes to it? Would you need, or would you have to start the entire process over again? Raymond, basically what happens is the submitter of the application. So let's say you've submitted the application for process. You'll be able to reset that process, make those changes that you've needed to make, and then reprocess the document. So you wouldn't have to start the entire thing over again necessarily, but you will have the document saved. All you would basically need to do is reset the process to where you can make those edits and be able to add those people again. Does that answer your question? Yes, but what if you were a person that was approving it? If the person approving it needs to edit the document, it depends on their permissions. If you do give them permissions to edit the document, they will be able to. But as far as making changes to the document, um, they would have to ask the submitter of the document to reset the process for you. So it is possible, but only the submitter of the process would be able to. So if I needed you to resubmit the process for me because I needed to make changes, you would just be the one to have to reset it and then resubmit it. Does that make sense? Yeah, you're welcome. All right, so on the left-hand side, well, on the screen rather, you'll see the pricing. I went ahead and added that here to the chat as well. So basically, it shows the single pro user. The red is basically what it does come with, as well as the business account as well. So you can also look that over in your free time. With the enterprise accounts, it does usually consist of 100 licenses or more, and that is $60 a user. It also does support customization with the APIs, as well as an enterprise level of support. All right. So let's see if anybody has any more questions, and if not, you are free to go. I will leave my email in here as well. Feel free to contact me if you have any questions. Shirley, if you can go ahead and private message me your information, I will go ahead and send the archive to you as well. As for the others, I can email all of you as well. So I will send you guys a link. Let me go ahead and get that link. Okay, Shirley has a question. I'm having trouble switching account to sign on to the single free. Where are you trying to sign on? Are you trying to sign on with Colavate at the Colavate domain? Okay. And if you do go to Google or if you go to gmail.com, is that account the same one you're trying to log in with Colavate? No, okay. So what you would have to do is log out of the email from gmail.com, um, and then log into the right email address from gmail.com, and then you'll be able to log in through Collavate with that same account. Okay. All right. So if everybody can private message me their with their email address, or you can also email me at the email above. We can also go over certain pricing as well as with the webinar. Since this is our first webinar, we do want to go ahead and give some incentive for for users who do want to purchase either business accounts, single accounts. So with each purchase, we will be able to give certain incentives for you, whether it be a discounted rate or free users for business accounts. So definitely feel free to contact me at that email address with you know with any questions or any concerns, or if you do want to purchase it, and we can go ahead and go from there. Shirley says pricing for nonprofits. Let me double check. Shirley, give me just a moment. Um, With the pricing for nonprofits as well as education, it is 50% off. So let's say you wanted a business account, instead of $40 a year for each license, it would be $20 a year. Also, the members of the nonprofit or education, and the students are free. Shirley, I can also email you that information, just to make things a little bit easier for you. Definitely, no problem. All right, perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and leave my email address in here one more time. And if anybody has any questions, please feel free to email me. But that does conclude our webinar. I want to thank everybody for attending. It was great meeting all of you, and I hope you enjoyed it. All right, guys. Thank you again. Hey, is that you, Amanda, or is that Harry? It just says Net Killer Organizer.